Hey Kids Club, it's me, T-Mac. But today, you can call me T-Master of Balloon Animals. That's right, I'm going to make and create the most enormous and most stupendous and the biggest balloon animal ever. But today's big idea is even bigger than that, because today's big idea is God can do more than we could ever imagine. Ow! I got a pretzel. Stay! Crikey, a boa constrictor. That's something.
Hey T, what are you working on?
Well, I was trying to make a balloon animal, but it's harder than it looks.
Yes, you are right. It is pretty tough. Let's see.
How did you do that? Is that a monkey in a tree?
It is.
Oh, what's up, you? Can you make a lion?
Well, I could try.
Where'd you learn how to do that?
Well, a lot of practice and a lot of popped balloons. Ah! And the popping the balloons still happens sometimes, but really I started learning how to make balloons when I was younger. I always liked trying new things, and I met some people who liked learning circus stuff too, like how to balance on a rolling ball, how to fly on the trapeze, or even how to eat fire.
Eat fire? That's nonsense.
Nonsense or not, I still love it.
What are you doing? Kids, she has a lot of training. Do not try this at home.
That is true. While I was learning circus tricks, I made lots of friends and had a ton of fun. I thought it was just something that I loved that was fun for me, but then God turned it into something that could really help people.
Tell me more.
Okay, but first, take this balloon animal and blow it up, will you?
Okay, sure. Sorry, fellas.
So now go here. Perfect, perfect. And now do this. Well, I've been able to go to places like hospitals where there were even sick kids, and I got to cheer them up by doing some tricks for them. Go here. Look, and now you have the head. I even got to go to other countries and make balloon animals for people who didn't even speak the same language that I did. Now, do this. Small. Yep. And then go here. And all together. All together. You got it. Right there. All of it. All of it. And tie that together. I even got to teach people that they can do things they didn't even think they could do.
Like what?
Like making balloon animals.
Oh, that's nice.
You did it!
I did it!
And here I thought we were just talking about circus stuff like juggling knives. People can't do that.
But that's my point, T. I thought balloon animals were just something fun for me. But God used it to do something even bigger. For example, he did more than I could have even imagined.
Yeah. Jen, that's a verse in the Bible. Ephesians 3:20. God is able to do far more than we could ever ask for or imagine. He does everything by his power that is working in us.
I love that verse. And boy, God does more than we could imagine a lot, doesn't he?
He sure does. There was this one time that God's special family, the Israelites, were in the desert for 40 years, and he made food fall from the sky so that they wouldn't go hungry. Oh, and the time that God made the river split in two so that his people could go across safely. And, well, then there's this story.
So here's where we are in the story. After God created the world, and after people messed up the world by sinning, and after God created a rescue plan for his children, and after he sent his son Jesus to earth as a teeny tiny little baby, Jesus was all grown up. He wasn't a teeny tiny little baby anymore. Not that when he was a baby, he was teeny tiny. He wasn't like a miniature sized baby or anything. It's like babies are already teeny tiny. He was a regular sized baby, okay? Anyway, he was all grown up and he was teaching lots and lots of people all over the place. He was teaching them how to love God and how to love people and how to be more like him. This is the story of how one day Jesus was teaching a big crowd of people. On this particular day, the crowd was about 5,000 men. Back then, they only counted the men for some reason. So really, if you counted the women and the children, the crowd would be like 15 or 20,000. And really, we should count the women and the children, especially the children, because in this story, there's even a little boy, and he's a child, so I don't even know why we didn't count him. Anyway, on this particular day, there were lots and lots of thousands of people. Oh, and as a side note, you can read about this story in the Bible, in Matthew 14, or Mark 6, or Luke 9, or John 6. As a side note to that side note, this is the only miracle in the Bible recorded in all 4 Gospels. So that probably means it's super important and we should be able to learn something. Anyway, Jesus had been talking to this huge crowd of people all day long. See, sometimes when Jesus was speaking, people just lost track of time. They couldn't stop listening to Jesus. They wanted to hear everything that he had to say. But come on, all day is a really long time to just sit and listen. And these people were getting hungry. So the disciples went to Jesus and said, "It's getting late. Maybe we should let these people go home so they could get something to eat." But Jesus said, "They don't need to leave to get something to eat. You can give them food to eat." What do you think the disciples were thinking just then? Pardon me, but what food? They didn't bring any food with them. And it's not like there were any restaurants or grocery stores nearby, although that would be pretty neat if there was like a restaurant right there in the side of the hill, right in the middle of all those people. Anyway, the disciples were looking around for some food. Remember that boy I told you about? Turns out this one boy had some food, but it wasn't like a food truck or anything. It was just his own little lunch. 5 pieces of bread and 2 small fish. Definitely not enough to feed a crowd of lots and lots of thousands of people. But Jesus was about to do something amazing. He took the bread and the fish and he thanked God for it. Pretty simple stuff, right? But then he started to split it up and pass it out to everybody. Everybody. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Time out. What the actual crazy do you think was happening inside the disciples' heads just then? What in the world was Jesus even doing? Did he really think that he was going to be able to feed thousands and thousands of people with only 5 pieces of bread and 2 small fish? It must have seemed impossible. But what the disciples didn't know is that when Jesus prayed this prayer of thanks, he was talking to his dad in heaven. And his dad in heaven is God, the one who created all the fish in all the oceans, the one who, at the beginning of time, created everything out of nothing. So making some lunch for some people was no big deal. Actually, it was a big deal because these people would have known the story of the Israelites wandering in the desert really well, and how God had provided for them for 40 years with manna, which is kind of like bread, except it's really small, so it's more like cereal, and it fell from the sky, and boy, that would be super sweet to have like cereal falling from the sky, but it would also freak me out a little bit. And there was also quail when the Israelites were wandering in the desert, and quail are like these tiny little birds. Actually, they're not tiny, they're like regular birds, and birds are already tiny, so they're still tiny, but maybe not as tiny as you would have thought. Anyway, the food that Jesus prayed over and handed out was being passed around, and people were eating, and eating, and eating. And the craziest thing happened. Even though they kept handing out bread, they never ran out of bread. And even though they kept handing out fish, they never ran out of fish. All these lots and lots of thousands of people ate as much as they wanted, and there were still leftovers. 12 baskets of leftovers. What? How does that even work when they started with so little? Not only did Jesus feed these people dinner, he gave them more than they needed. Leftovers. When the people saw Jesus do this miracle, some of them were convinced right then and there that he was the king and the rescuer that God had promised so long ago. And while it was probably pretty wild to see Jesus take these 5 pieces of bread and 2 small fish and feed lots and lots of thousands of people, it wasn't crazy at all for Jesus. It was easy. He would keep doing greater and greater miracles than that, including the greatest rescue the world would ever see. I can't wait for you to hear that story.
I love that story. I love your story too, Jen, because it reminds me that God lets us be a part of his story. He used something that you loved and, hey, where'd you go?
I'm up here.
Oh, there you are. He uses things that we love and lets us be a part of what he's doing, whether that's helping people who are hurting or just bringing some joy to the world.
Exactly. And it's not just me. My friend Matt has a story like mine. Check it out.
Hey, I'm Matt.
Hey, Matt!
Doing magic for my friends is one of the ways that I play. And because I've done it for 20 plus years, I've actually learned that some of the special ways God made me make me a better magician. I got my first magic set when I was 4 years old. That actually meant that my dad had to read me the secrets to teach me the tricks, which looking back, must have meant I was pretty good because I was able to fool him, not like that, but with tricks like this. Maybe he was just being nice. I pretty quickly started to get into the classics of magic. Things you'd read about in books, you'd see magicians on stages with top hats and tuxedos doing. And I was really getting excited about it. I would do magic whenever I could. Birthday parties, block parties, Christmas parties, really any kind of party. It was really helpful because I was an active kid. I couldn't stop moving. My grandfather even nicknamed me Major Motion when I was a kid. So having a deck of cards in my hands and constantly trying to learn things like this actually helped me focus. And over time, I was able to learn things like this. And even this. I was a quiet kid too. Growing up, sometimes nervous about whether or not kids would like me. So having magic as a thing I could do in the cafeteria, at a soccer game, the back of the bus, was a really helpful way for me to connect with other kids. And it was generally always fun to have something that I could do to amaze people all the time. I read a ton of books, practiced a ton, and over time, got to learn tricks like this. But now I'm older, I'm married, I have 3 kids, I like to camp and hike, but I somehow always keep coming back to magic. And I think the reason is because it's such a great way to give people joy and for me to play.
How did he do that? And I wonder, can he do it with cupcakes? Oh, anyways, hearing from you and Matt and how God has used your hobbies and the things that you love makes me wonder, what am I good at? What do I love? And how might God use that for his kingdom?
Well, let's start thinking about it. Can I ask you a couple questions?
Absolutely.
So, what do you like doing?
Oh, I like to draw, I like to dance. I like to do funny voices.
Those are all great places to start.
I like to play Chubby Bunny. I like to have a conversation with puppies.
So it was like, they were like, oh, you can go. And I said, yeah, I can go, you can go.
Wow, those are all very different, but you're so creative. I'm sure you can find a way to tie some of them together and do something amazing.
I know. I could do a funny voice while doing a dance and playing Chubby Bunny. Funny voices. Or well, we could just do a recap.
Good luck. Yes! Let's go, let's go. And last one. Yes! Okay, here we go. All right, what do you think? Should I get in? We all have things that we're good at doing and that we like doing and that we're interested in. And sometimes God wants to use our own talents and interests to do something even bigger than we could have imagined. For example, He turned my love for the circus and fire into something that I could show His love to others and to make other people happy. Because remember, God can do more than we could ever have imagined. Right. You got it. And but what? Trick candles. Hey.